Park Avenue and fire investigators looking into what caused this massive fire last night. This was the scene as two historic buildings right near the KeyBank Center caught on fire. And 200 Side was actually in a parking garage right across the street, able to get this video. Buffalo fire officials tell us the fire started just before 8 last night, and they continued to fight it into the early morning hours. Those historic buildings were built back in the 1800s, but they've been at the center of an eminent domain battle between the owner and the city.
Yeah, and this morning, 2 on Your Side's Chelsea Swift is out there in the Cobblestone District to give us the latest. Good morning, Chelsea.
Good morning, Pete and Melissa. That's right. I'm on South Park Avenue. And as you can see behind me on Illinois Street, that fire damaging those two buildings there. The cause of the fire is still unknown at this time. And Buffalo Fire says the fire was ruled under control just after 2 a.m. this morning. Buffalo Fire crews responded to this 2-alarm fire in the 100 block of South Park Avenue around 8 o'clock Tuesday night. Flames can be seen shooting from the rooftop and several windows of the buildings. The two buildings are some of the oldest in the city of Buffalo, dating back to the 1850s and 60s. These buildings are also at the center of an eminent domain battle between the owner and the city. The city tried to take ownership of these buildings through eminent domain in 2022, saying the landlord did nothing to keep up with these buildings for over a decade now. Buffalo Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo says while no one was hurt, their main concern was containing the fire and the safety of the firefighters and the public.
It started on the first floor, spread to all 4 floors at this time, and we're having a hard time getting access to all the parts of the building we want to. So spending hours, several hours in turnout gear, SCBAs, that kind of thing, is really draining. So once again, that's up to the leadership, the incident commander, the division chief on scene, to rotate crews, keep them fresh and keep them rested.
Now we're learning more this morning. Fire officials say damage is estimated at $1.1 million. And as the investigation continues, we'll learn more about the eminent domain status, as well as if these buildings are even salvageable at this point. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio, Pete and Melissa.
Okay, Chelsea Swift reporting live for us. Thank you. And it's also important to realize just how long those buildings have been there.
Yeah, when the legal battle between the owner and the city was heating up, I dug into their past for an unknown story going all the way back to before the Civil War.
Beneath the scaffolding and crumbling bricks lies a story.
It had a dirt floor. It was anything but beautiful, even in its best days.
A story of not only the Queen City's last operating blacksmith shop, but more importantly, the blacksmith himself, Edmund Rudnicki.
He was just a terrifically hard worker.
Ed's son Paul holds the memories and images of his father close to his heart. The elder Rudnicki passed away in 2001 at the age of 82, and Paul says he lived a life doing what he loved.
He was an industrial blacksmith, and his specialty was sharpening tools, making tools.
A perfectionist from day one.
He had started in the early 50s doing a lot of work on the lakes freighters.
In fact, in the early 70s, a freighter came up the Buffalo River with a rush order to repair some chains, a ship that would soon become famous, or rather infamous.
The Edmund Fitzgerald, yeah.
That's right. That very same ship sunk a short time later on Lake Superior as the gales of November came early, as the song goes.
He did some work on the chains for the Edmund Fitzgerald, and he was always worried that one of the chains gave way and he had done something wrong.
To his relief, his repairs had nothing to do with the disaster, but Rudnicki's skills were also put to work on some other famous projects, according to historian and preservationist Tim Thielman.
He did belt buckles for the Gemini and Apollo programs for astronauts.
Which all plays into his passion for these buildings, which are now at the center of controversy. But he says they once sat at the center of commerce.
This set of buildings right here that we're looking at, that are the subject of this eminent domain hearing, they're the sole remaining buildings from the Erie Canal era on the Buffalo waterfront.
And that is something that both Thielman and Paul Rudnicki say needs to be preserved.
They're the reason we created the Cobblestone Historic District.
That's a part of Buffalo that we really shouldn't let go of.
Now it's possible those buildings will have to be torn down after that fire last night. The crews continue to clean up the debris on this site there. And they're continuing to also clean